Tonight on the wait. We are live kind of, but it's giving me an error message on Facebook. So that's great. Anyway, tonight on the Guy at the Movies podcast, we have the fallout from San Diego Comic-Con and all of the Marvel news, as well as a slew of trailers to discuss, a bunch of movies we want to dive into, and some interesting news that hit the past few days. Sean, are you ready to go?
I hate computers.
You hate computers. Okay.
Everyone is part of the family at this point.
I didn't do my fan fiction idea that I had, so this movie was garbage.
What is this?
You are a monster beyond all belief.
Put them all in the thing and let them do the thing. You know what I mean?
How? You're lucky to have me back.
You're never gonna get 60 million people because you're not a Super Bowl. Shut up.
So chaotic.
Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast. I am Joe. He is Sean, and this is episode 108 for those who are keeping track at home. Sean, what's going on?
I've got great energy now. Computer is still not working, so I'm on my wife's computer, and so it's going to be a great episode because I'm just like fuming with rage right now.
Good. So we'll make sure to pick out all the shitty parts of the story that are going to infuriate you to really get you going and capitalize on this opportunity.
That's going to be everything at this point, so let's do it.
Let's dive into it because we have a lot of stuff we want to get to. We had a lot of trailers that came out in the past week. It's funny, we go through these waves where there's like nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom. Of course, Comic-Con had something to do with that, but some of these are pretty interesting. I want to start with Halloween Ends. This dropped randomly, quite honestly. When it was like late at night, they dropped it, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And I jumped out of bed to watch it and do a reaction. And, you know, after hating Halloween Kills, after not really loving Halloween Kills and feeling like it was just an unnecessary middle entry, the trailer for Halloween Ends really got me pumped because it really does look like they're setting up just this like duke it out fest between the two characters that we have been most invested in from the beginning. And when Jamie Lee Curtis says, what does she say? It's like, come get me, motherfucker. I was
there was a motherfucker in there, which is, it's always solid to get a motherfucker in a trailer.
I was like, yes. And then I was showing it to my dad the next day. And I'm like, wait, here it comes. And it was the bleeped out version. I'm like, no, you didn't get the full effect.
Well, I love that there was a red band warning for the trailer in the theater. And it's like, oh, it's the Halloween Ends trailer. We're going to see some sick kills. I'm like, oh, no, it's just for the word fuck. Like that's the red band horrible like imagery trailer.
I loved it. I'm looking forward to it more than I was now. Still skeptical because there's a lot that they need to do in this last one to, I guess, tie up this trilogy, but also to send Jamie Lee Curtis off in a positive way after she's returned a few times. And, you know, the story has taken some weird twists and turns. I'm not saying that they're going to end Halloween in general. We know that's not going to happen. They'll give it time and then they'll like reboot the character somehow. But at least I want them to end this series pretty well. What did you think of it?
Well, the absolute to go on the whether they really do end the Halloween franchise, the absolute cheekiest part of this trailer is their saga ends. And yeah. I laughed out loud immediately because I was just like, oh, yep, we want more of these Halloween movies, but their saga's gonna end. Like Jamie Lee's off the contract, but they're still gonna be making more of these.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There's a time jump in this. I think 5 years. They said, of course, we're playing on Halloween once again. And it looks like we're going to be back in familiar territory in terms of the sets and stuff like that. But I'm excited. Like let's do it up. Let's get the kills going. Give me that fire scene from the second one with the firefighters and stuff for the whole movie, and I'll be fine.
Yeah, him this is just going to be such a weird out of context sentence, but him murdering the firefighters and then murdering the elderly couple, I was like, I'm in on this movie. And then the rest of it just sucked. So it was like such a bummer because it's like, wow, they are doing some great stuff horror-wise, and then just nothing.
My dad goes, what happened in the last one? Did they stop him? I said, yeah, they shot him, stabbed him, kicked him, beat him, all this stuff, and then he got up.
Well, the whole town gets together, beats the shit out of him, and then just leaves.
And why did they do that? Evil dies tonight.
Exactly. Except evil will die 5 years from now.
Yeah. Evil will die 5 years from now until the reboot. All right. So one of the biggest trailers to hit is arguably not arguably, is for a film that you and I have been very concerned about. And this is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the sequel to the hit film Black Panther. There's a lot that this film needs to accomplish. Of course, with the passing of Chadwick Boseman and some of the developmental hell that the film has been in. But Saturday night, the Marvel panel at San Diego Comic-Con ended with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which I thought was interesting at the time. And then I saw the trailer and I cried. This may be one of the best trailers I've ever seen. It just captured the emotion that you expect from, people who are dealing with the death of their king. But also just in terms of Chadwick Boseman and honoring him, but also giving us a glimpse of the story moving forward. I was stunned. I watched it so many times back to back. I've watched it so many times since. I can't say enough good things about it.
I haven't stopped watching it. It's like, for some reason it's just at the top of my YouTube playlist. Like it still is there as like something like to watch. So immediately when I like go onto YouTube, it's right there. So I just watch it one more time again. It is like you said, it's one of the best trailers like I've seen. Definitely the best trailer of the year, without a doubt. I love how much egg we have on our face. Not that we said like Wakanda Forever was going to be bad, but we're like, oh boy, they better give us a trailer and it better be good. And
it went from we'll see what we get to, oh my god, that's the most anticipated movie I have now.
I think it's like the perfect trailer for a Marvel film because you have the moments where it doesn't give much away.
Mm-hmm.
You have the moments where it's showing a solid amount of action between every little 2-second clip is just marvelous between like Martin Freeman walking with his big dick energy, Michaela Cole looking fierce, and then just like so many different levels of Angela Bassett, who I have a very hot take on in a little bit, but like just absolutely stunning.
Your hot take is going to be that she's going for the Oscar with this role.
I'm saying that there's a possibility of a nomination, baby. I think that she's curried so much good favor. Like this, I'm talking about a 2-second clip, but holy shit!
Well, that speech she gives about hasn't my family given enough, or haven't I given enough? Like, oh my god, I want to show you a clip from inside Hall H when after it aired and the cast was on the stage still. I saw this earlier and kind of melted a little bit. So
beautiful.
Get ready.
Good friends we are, and good friends we've lost.
Wow.
Along the way. In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears, I say.
Come on, that
music too.
You could tell this cast is like completely into it. I mean, it's such a beautiful trailer too. I mean, we saw so much of the part of the name Nandor. Is that his name, or is it someone else's name? The Underwater King or whatever.
Oh, Namor.
Namor, damn it! I knew I was gonna screw that up. Namor, like the underwater. We saw so much of his world, so much beauty in there. I will say, I think they heard the criticism of the first Black Panther with the visual effects because I don't think they're letting up on them now. I think they're doing pretty solid on them here.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later when it gets to the visual effects. But I will share, there's a story out there that they did change where Namor is from in this.
Okay.
So he originally was the king of Atlantis, but it makes sense. I think they just want to really distinguish him from Aquaman and stuff. So he's going to be from a kingdom called Talokan. I don't know if that is something that was from the comics or not, or if there is. It looks like it's derived from an Aztec world, or Aztec word meaning mythic paradise. So that makes sense. So that's cool. I will say that with a quick glance, it looks like he's leading the Na'vi in Pandora.
Well, I mean, everyone's talking about how, and just a preview for my upcoming column this weekend. The similarities between the trailers of these two are quite striking. Which I think this one has got me a little bit more hyped. But they're both beautiful. Like they both have the segmented moments of them, and they both involve a shitload of water.
I'm pumped. I'm so excited. Yeah. I can't wait. That's November, and that's going to be an event. Then we got, I guess it was the day before, or maybe it was on Thursday, we got the first trailer for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And this is a movie that kind of I knew was coming and I had zero interest in, but saw the trailer and I actually was pretty impressed, only because it looks like they're going full fun, which I really enjoy. Like they're embracing that. And we haven't had a fun fantasy in a while. It's always serious and shit. So this is led by Chris Pine, Sophia Lillis is in it, Reggae John Page, Daisy Haig, Jason Wong, a number of people in this cast. It looks a lot of fun. I'm the graphics sometimes are a little like iffy, but when you have dragons flying around tackling like orcs and shit, I don't care. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, this one was interesting for me because this one is getting a very, very positive reaction. I'm not totally sold on it. They're them doing the modern rock song with the fantasy trailer. It's like, all right, we've done it before. We get it. You're hip. I think this will be a lot of fun still. I'm like looking forward to it. You're right. They're leaning into it. Is ridiculous that a Dungeons and Dragons movie is being made. That is just like a silly thing. I don't know how that can work at all. Like that mystifies me still. And so the fact that they're doing it, they're doing it, making it kind of fun and, putting the characters almost as the players of the game, which, obviously that becomes a Which Way movie, which, we got that from that weird Netflix movie, but and that's not what this is, but it does there's certain agency and unpredictability from the characters that it does look like it's having that loose style. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not totally sold. I'm a little bit iffy still, but I'm definitely getting in line.
And I think that's where most people are, because coming into it, it was like, how are they going to pull this movie off? And the fact that the trailer actually was decent surprised a lot of people. Yeah. What I think is the most entertaining piece of all this is that there was an exclusive poster for the film available at Comic-Con at the Paramount booth. And there was an issue with it. The issue is that on the artwork, there was a beast of some sort that wasn't from Dungeons and Dragons, but was from the game Pathfinder. So apparently Paramount went and pulled all these posters right away, which is a really silly mistake to make. But all these games seem alike to me, but I'm not a player of the game. So, I don't understand them totally.
That's the thing about this. No one's going to give a shit about that move except for the people that it's going to matter for, which is the people you want to cater for the most.
Absolutely.
A casual person like me is never going to even come close to noticing. And now that they've done it, I still don't give a shit. But it's like, okay, they didn't really know. Whatever. I don't know. There's nothing that's horribly sinful about that to me. But to the people that matter and to the people that are have been dying for this movie, you put that mistake in. That's where you got to have some consultants. Where were they, man? They got to be there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. We got one final trailer that I want to talk about today. This released yesterday, and it was, this morning. And this was Pearl. It's the prequel for X. Did you have a chance to watch this?
This is what I was going to say right now. Full disclosure, I did not watch this trailer, and I don't think this gives anything away for X, but I'm just staying away from everything until I see X. So
okay.
You could still go into it and stuff, but I just avoided it slightly.
We won't talk about
gives anything away.
We won't talk about it much. Only that Mia Goth's character from X is explored more in this prequel. Pearl, she's the titular character, and the preview itself, the trailer itself, is, in my opinion, better than the trailer for X. So I'm much more excited for this than I was for X. And I liked X.
Yeah.
But this just looks gory. It looks violent. It looks insane. And I'm all here for it.
I also looked it up, and X is $5 to rent on Amazon. So that's going to be one I watch pretty shortly. I have no excuses anymore.
I'm surprised that hasn't hit a streamer or anything yet.
That's what I was kind of waiting for.
What was the company behind it?
A24?
Oh.
Which... A24, we didn't talk about this, but they made a big-ass deal with HBO Max.
Oh, did they?
It's not all of the films, but I heard a lot of them are going to HBO Max, which, Jesus Christ, HBO Max, you're just hitting all quarters, man.
Oh, yeah, a couple of them, like Ex Machina.
Yeah. It's not everything, yeah, but it's they made some sort of deal with them.
Massive collection, it says. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's dive into what we've been watching. We've had some big releases come out. First of all, we had Nope hit theaters last Friday. This was Jordan Peele's third film. I don't think did I see it before our last pod? Did I talk about it at all?
You saw it after the last pod, actually. Like, it
saw
was
it
a
after-
later screening, yeah.
Yeah. I actually had a lot of fun with this. It's a little insane, but the acting is so much fun. Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer are just absolutely wonderful. Steven Yeun is interesting in the role. It's a weird role. I'll say that. That's without getting into any big spoilers. But I did really enjoy this movie much more than I thought I would. I've said this multiple times tonight, so apparently it's going to be my phrase, but this was one that I had zero interest in. And I actually really ended up enjoying it. Brandon Perea was also really good in this. I really thought he was great. And we're in this like world of casting people. But one of the things I put out there and I thought about afterwards was he would be, I think, a great replacement for Ezra Miller should they want to do something different with the Flash.
Oh my, that's a really great call. I love that.
I'm really pumped about him in the future and wanting to see more of him. The movie is, I think, really funny and really it's meta, but not as strongly. Well, no, meta is not the right word. Maybe
it sort of is. I think you're right.
But it's not like smack you in the face meta. Mm-mm. There's essentially a lot of talk about so animals is a piece of it, but the larger messaging here is about exploitation and the dangers of exploitation. Without getting into the specific details, there's some stuff that doesn't quite work. I think for the casual moviegoer, there are some flashbacks, if you will, that are bonkers as shit. And if you sit and think about it long enough, you can make the connection. But I think the casual moviegoer is really going to struggle with that. Because even some people that I've talked to who are kind of in our circle are still like, what the fuck was that? But ultimately, I thought this was more fun for Peele. It was a little less of the serious, on-the-nose social commentary. Not saying that the social commentary is not there, but it's more so let's have a big-budget summer blockbuster alien film, quite like we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I love this movie. And, I have to worry about my Peele bias. I try not to get too wrapped up in that. And so I didn't. I tried to see where the flaws were in this. And there is some crazy stuff in there that is tough to put together. I think you pointed out in your review or your social reaction, like there's some like leaps in logic that are taken that are a little bit tough to. And I fully support those. I fully support the people that like want to argue that there's a lack of character arc in this movie, and I think there is. I don't think there's much growth in any of the characters really. I think this was more of an allegory for filmmakers, and like you said, exploitation, but really just like wanting to tell the story and wanting to be the first to tell the story, to get the shot, and all of those things. And I thought that was like that was the meta portion of this, where he's sort of like examining himself, and Peele is. And I think, Kaluuya was amazing. He did his usual thing where he's like, oh yeah, I'm just not going to speak at all in this role, and I'm just going to talk with my face. And he does that better than like any modern actor right now. It's just like this little, there's the moment where, obviously he says the titular line, and he's in the car, and then they just hold on him for a very long time, and you're getting a lot from him in that moment. It's kind of remarkable. Like,
and they actually say that line a few times in the movie.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Yeah.
Nope. And it got a laugh.
I wanted to like the Steven Yeun. I feel the exact same way. That is an extremely interesting character, and thank God Steven Yeun is playing that character, because that could have been a really annoying, distracting, over the top character. And Yeun really knows how to pull back. I mean, he's gotten his Oscar nomination for pulling back amazing in Minari, and in this especially, he like I remember like watching him act in this role, and I just said to myself, wow, this could have gone terrible. Like that's a role that's really tough to play. And he absolutely nails it. I mean, there's just so much about this. I mean, there's this like predator prey sort of like motif throughout it, and it doesn't go where you think. And I guess my last comment will be, and it's one I already texted to you. I really, really want a Scorpion King sweatshirt. I think the fact that the reference in Scorpion King is actually perfect for the movie
Yeah.
was what I couldn't believe. Like that's actually a line, almost the line from the movie that The Rock says from Scorpion King is sort of interwoven into that plot detail from Nope. And I couldn't believe, I'm like, they dug deep into the Scorpion King. It's just remarkable. Oh man. I love Peele. Like I love that this one's divisive, and this is my third place movie for him. But that's just because like Us and Get Out are like kind of this like otherworldly level for me mentally that I can't even like process those as like even ranking those as a 1 and a 2. But this is still an exceptional third film. This guy like keeps on rolling out the hits. I just hope he keeps on going with this because I'm loving it so far.
This was really cool too because I mean, much like a lot of his films, you don't really know what you're getting into. And with this, I mean, the actual core story, I didn't know what the core story was going to be outside of there was this like flying saucer thing. So there was still a lot to be revealed. And even from the very beginning, you are kind of taken on a ride. And it's a really cool story, I think.
Well, we all just looked like complete idiots when like the trailers came out and the plot came out because we're like, oh, so it's going to be aliens, so it's going to be about colonization, or it's going to be about the class system, or it's going to be about invasion. It's like, oh no, this is about like filmmaking, and I love that. I love that he kind of like made us eat our words because it wasn't the usual social horror this guy's hit us with in the last 2 movies.
Do you remember when people were like, nope, oh, that stands for not of planet Earth?
I love like Peele in interviews. He's like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Today he's like, nope, it's literally just nope. The other one that came out last week, hit Netflix, was The Gray Man. This is the Russo brothers' big screen adaptation of the book of the same name, novel of the same name. It's a series of books. So as we'll talk about in a second, get ready for more. But Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Reggie John Page. Why do I butcher that name every time?
It's a tough one with the syllables, yeah.
Danush, and who
Billy Bob.
else? Billy Bob Thornton. I talked about this last week. I had fun with this one. There's a lot of issues in terms of the story, the core story itself, that I'm hoping will get fleshed out in the future, and I'm giving it that ability to do it just because I thought the acting was a lot of fun. Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans together were absolutely hilarious. And the action was just a lot. It was a blast. It was, they pretty much blew up Prague. But it was a good.
So much collateral. The most collateral I've seen in an action movie ever.
Ryan Gosling was just talking recently on maybe Good Morning America. I was watching because I'm 75 years old, but he was talking about filming the scene where he's handcuffed to the bench and how his family was staying nearby and they heard the explosions. And I guess the phone rang and he like leaned out a shot and picked up the phone. And they were asking like when the explosions were going to stop for some reason. It was pretty funny.
They chose to call him at that moment.
Yeah, right.
You think he'd call an assistant. Like, you think he's got someone to answer a phone. But
I like that he had his phone in his pocket.
Yeah, celebrities. They're just like us.
What did you think of this? I know you just posted your review a little while ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is proof that you have more fun at movies than me. I really, don't get me wrong. The action in this was spectacular. I really did enjoy it. But holy God, was it dumb? And I think the problem is that they explained the premise several times like it was something new. It's like, yeah, he's like a gray man. What he does is he's an assassin and he's like expendable.
It's called The Bourne Identity.
And I'm like, it's called The Expendables. It's just like literally these are like this is a movie I've seen a lot of times before. So don't be proud of the premise as you're like Billy Bob's like coming in there all cheeky like hey, this is what's going on. I'm like, don't do that. Chris Evans needs to play Dix for the rest of his life. He is spectacular.
A delightful psychopath.
It's unbelievable how much better. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, kick-ass Captain America. Like, I'll say that till the day I die. But, then like right after that, he just does Knives Out and now The Gray Man, where he's just playing horrible people, and it's really great to watch. Like, it's just like kind of this deliciously evil. It's like that he weirdly does pull off the ridiculously dumb mustache and those tight shirts as we talked about in the trailer. His costume designer is brilliant. Like, truly, he must have his own. Like, because he always looks good.
But always looks good.
In general, I what I've recommended with people, because a lot of people asked me about this one, I just said, boy, oh boy, I don't like the expression of turn your brain off action movie, but this is the example of that, where it's like there's nothing noble of story here, but like you will be entertained.
And there's a market for that.
Yeah, and like it's there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to give me something on the other side in my own personal grading system. So that's why I dip a little bit lower with the grade, but still well done action, very well done action.
And a primary example of there's a market for it is that it has a 91% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is leading Netflix to go all in on this. And basically what we're seeing is that there will be a sequel based on the next novel in The Gray Man. I don't know how many Gray Man novels there are. How many The Gray Man novels? There are a total of 11, so we're in for a long ride.
I'm stunned. These are based off of books. Not to like it just seems like it's just such a very simple premise that it's tough to believe that these are like off of books.
Well, and from what I understand, from someone who read the books, that there's not a lot of story in them either.
What's in the book?
Or at least the first one. Like I said, I'm hopeful that they'll like build off of this and stuff and really branch out and open up the world. One way that they're going to do that is in addition to the sequel, which we'll see the return of Ryan Gosling as well as the Russo brothers and the writer of this film. They're working on a spin-off of this film, which they're not giving a lot of details about, but the Deadpool and Zombieland writers, Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, are going to be behind it. There was a rumor weeks ago that this was a prequel following Chris Evans' character. And really kind of like how he went from being, in the CIA to becoming the dick that he is.
A horrible person.
And I'd love that. I would be all for that. Because again, give me more Chris Evans playing a psychopath because it was wonderful.
It would be a little bit tough with him at the center of the movie. Like I enjoyed watching him like be the heel, but it would be tough. Like, just like, I don't know, like just sociopaths at the like center is
but you know what? Give me something like you did with what's it called? Army of Thieves. Give me an Army of the Thieves where it's another group and stuff, and there's a big cast. Let's give me that. I'll be happy with it. Jumping into other stuff that we've been watching, I'll touch on two things real quick. I saw Vengeance. Vengeance is BJ Novak's directorial debut and his, I believe it's his first written film script. This is a really fascinating movie. It basically follows him, who's a writer and a podcaster. He's a journalist, I should say. And he gets a phone call that a girl that he had hooked up with had died. And he doesn't even remember who the girl is. But he flies down there anyway because apparently he had been painted as the boyfriend. While he's down there, he gets to know the family a little bit, and there seems to be a mystery at the core of what's going on in Texas. So he stays and investigates and thinks that this will be the big podcast break. It's, again, going with meta here. It's a dark comedy, and it is a little bit meta because it's like it's talking about our obsession with true crime, as well as sort of our interactions with other people. The podcast, I think, is called Dead White Girl in the movie.
That's actually pretty good.
But it's a lot of fun. It's very engaging. It's very well shot. It's very well directed. It's very well acted. It's very well written. Issa Rae is a lot of fun in this. Ashton Kutcher is there. He was fine. Boyd Holbrook is good. Dove Cameron's in this, and she's really good. BJ Novak obviously is the star, as mentioned earlier. What I will say is that for me, this movie completely fell apart at the end. It does a real 180 with the character that is just a leap in logic. It requires a leap in logic that I didn't love, which nicked it down for me. I really didn't like the end, but the rest of the movie, I was enthralled. And if that's what BJ Novak is going to bring to these types of films and be able to deliver, again, this is the first one, so maybe it's a learning curve and he'll get there. But I'm excited for him as a filmmaker because I think his comedy is spot on. I think it's smart. I think he knows what the audience wants, and hopefully we'll be able to see more of him on the big screen. Again, not a bad movie at all. I just wanted something different for the ending.
Yeah, BJ Novak is interestingly hit or miss with me, including like his acting. So this will be very interesting. This is coming out like this weekend. I'm very, very curious to see this one.
Is it going to be around you?
It is going to be around me, but so is a friend's wedding, and then a sister-in-law's wedding. So the next weekend. So pretty much, I'm just like never going to see a movie again.
Choose one. No, I'm kidding. The other one I want to touch on real quick, briefly, because it's not out yet, is DC League of Super Pets. DC League of Super Pets came out starring Kevin Hart and The Rock as the voices of Crypto and Ace, the main dogs. It's adorable. It's a kid's movie. So again, going into it, recognizing that it's not made for me, but there are some really funny jokes. There's some good storytelling. The main story itself and the antagonist is kind of like, how high were you when you came up with this? But it's fun. Essentially the Justice League is kidnapped and in danger, and and Crypto already has his powers, but other dogs get powers, or other animals get powers, and they kind of band together. So it's all about, loyalty, friendship, trusting yourself, finding home, things like that. I didn't love it, but I had a good time with it. I'll tell you, there is a standout in this movie, and there are a lot of voices. I mean, you have John Krasinski as Superman, you have Keanu Reeves as Batman, but the standout for me was Natasha Lyonne as the fucking turtle.
Oh my god, yes, that's
Myrtle.
a perfect casting.
And listen, this is also like, I didn't realize this until last night. I was like, oh, Awkwafina doing a really weird voice, huh? Like really stepping into it. Her and Awkwafina are very similar in their voices.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Oh man,
they have the raspy-ish kind of like, yeah.
And it wasn't a straight Natasha Lyonne voice. Like she was playing like an old turtle, so she was like doing something with it, and it sounded like Awkwafina when she played the old man in the second Jumanji. That's what it reminded me of. But it's a lot of fun. Kids are going to love it. The kids that were there were freaking adorable. The screening, they went all out. They had a DJ. They had like a photo booth. They had they were giving capes out. People were coloring. It was like a cool environment to see a film like this. But I said this earlier jokingly on Twitter. But I mean, this summer's really good for kids, I think, in terms of Minions coming out, DC League of Super Pets. There's some good stuff for them. And this is good. It's fun.
Nice. Good, because this was your most anticipated film of the decade.
It was not my most.
You were so excited for this movie.
I love a good animated story, and I love DC, so I'm like, let's go for it. It's really weird. But the other thing I'll mention is this movie gets surprisingly edgy in a few areas.
Love it.
Where the woman that was sitting like 2 seats away from me, her and I both at one point were like, holy shit. Like it was so funny. And I lost it. But it's a good movie. It's decent.
Nice. So I saw what is being debated and wondered if it's an animated movie or not. And I don't have a good answer, but it's a tricky one. And I finally got to see Marcel the Shell with Shoes on. God, what an amazing movie. Like, what a really, really, really good movie. I can't get over the fact that, first of all, 89 minutes long. So just shout out to everybody. When I saw that runtime, I was pleased as punch. But I really loved that this was charming and wholesome and cute throughout the whole thing. But there was a lot of solid messaging underneath about internet culture and some satire on documentaries, and the story being told is very not intense. Intense is the wrong word, but it is an emotionally powerful story, and it really does work so well. And I was kind of blown away by how well this worked, because I went into the theater expecting that I was going to like this movie. I really did. I knew that was going to be happening. I knew that I'd probably even give it an A. I was ready for that. But I didn't expect that this would be such an intelligent one. And just really for the amount of time you're there, really solid comedic timing throughout, really well done animation, truly emotionally powerful. This was one that I really couldn't recommend more to people. And I do like that, you don't need to have seen, obviously you don't need to have seen the YouTube videos, but they do tie the YouTube videos in very well. They don't pretend they don't exist. They're there and they're a part of it. And I think there's something I can't remember the director's name off the top of my head, but the director
in Fleischer Camp.
Yes. Oh, yes, because we were talking about the new movie, which is yes. So now I'm thinking. Okay, so now just to comment on that for a brief second, I'm not a big live action Disney guy, but that is a good choice for direct. That is a very good choice.
Makes sense now, right?
I like it now. I'm in. Although I don't like live action Disney movies, I'm in on that one. But the fact that him and Jenny Slate were not together throughout this, or we're together during the shorts and we're not together in the making of this movie, is sort of like there. Oh, we're going to say meta a lot today, aren't we? There's a meta analysis on that, and they like go into relationships and the difficulties of relationships on several different fronts, on familial fronts, on friend fronts, on like romantic fronts. It was truly like something that was examined very well, and like sort of in this poignant fashion that it was just kind of beautiful that they got together to make this movie and like make this like piece of art for that. But I did not expect to like this as much as I did. Like it was really good.
It's just an absolute joy. Like it's just a beautiful movie. You would like, I try explaining it to people and they're like, what the fuck? Like it's a shell. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't get it.
and, like with that, like, I don't know, man. It's like an animated creature. Like, get over it. It's like it's obvious it's not real. They didn't dump a vat of chemical acid on the shells so that they become alive. They're just, they're shells that are alive and wear shoes, and just like just accept that. And it's like, so, like, I'm not being like too like aggressive towards these people that have issues with it and stuff, but it is like we see like aliens and creatures in movies and all this stupid crap like talking dogs in all of these different movies all the time. This is just that, but a little bit more creative, which go with that.
Oh, so thankful that you liked it. All right, brace yourself.
Oh god, here we go.
have to dive into Comic-Con stuff.
Let me get a cop.
We're going to start briefly with DC, but in about 30 seconds, we'll be moving on to Marvel. DC did two things. They showed the Shazam trailer, had the Shazam cast. Did you have a chance to watch a Shazam trailer?
Shazam trailer, yes. I did not see a Black Adam trailer.
I'm a little stuck on this. I know there was footage that was shown.
Yeah.
There's also a Black Adam, some sort of Black Adam trailer that was released on Twitter. That I can try to pull up right now.
Was it him levitating onto the stage? Because I thought that was just beautiful.
Well, so he did do that. He levitated onto the stage. Here, I found it. It's a 1-minute trailer. So, Lord, we love 1 minute. It's like the equivalent of a 90-minute movie.
90-minute movie, 1-minute trailer. There we go.
All right, here we go.
My powers are not a gift, but a curse. Born out of rage. Black Adam.
That's cool.
You believe you are not worthy, but you have two paths. You can be the destroyer of this world, or you can be its savior. The world needed a hero. Instead, it got me.
So I won't lie, that 1 minute looked better than the first trailer.
I totally agree with that.
Like that actually like got me a little bit more excited because I remember I felt like a dick when I saw the first trailer. I was just like, that's it. And it's like, oh, it's like a big budget action movie. That's cool. Like, why am I being such a loser? But it just didn't really like ignite anything in me. That had a lot more like, I don't know, maybe color to it. Just like a lot more like, fights, and it was a lot more exciting to see. So I'm already, what am I gonna say? I'm gonna skip this movie. I'm in on it, but it's interesting.
There's some other stuff that they talked about where I guess it's the Atom and Cyclone are like young new superheroes, and their part of the story is like, how do you become a superhero? Like, how do you do that? So they're exploring, I think, different angles for DC, which is kind of cool instead of the established characters. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, again, like down the road, we're getting Blue Beetle. We're getting Batgirl. We're getting a lot of non-Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman characters. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they're received. So that's that trailer. What did you think going back to the Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer?
I love Shazam. I loved the first Shazam so much. This is keeping the same exact tone. It is keeping it just as fun. Unless they just like truly like bonk this up with something. I just imagine this being fun. Like, I just truly imagine this being so much fun. Levi is just once again killing it. Like, just really, he's so good in that role. I can't get over, like, he just has that childlike wonder to him. And just bringing back out like the whole family, and like they're all like kind of doing their own thing with it, which I think is like literally a line from that. Everyone is up in arms about the Fast and the Furious comment.
I love that.
I just think it's like people are really like, I don't know if they're actually upset, but there have been people that are just like, I can't believe that was put in there. I'm like, this is a movie about what the hell? What?
And what do you think kids are watching? Like,
hit the e-brake for me, will you, darling? Like, come on, that was all she did in the 9th one. So like, what are we doing here?
They also had an Insidious reference in there, or Annabelle reference in there. The Annabelle
really?
doll. Yeah, the Annabelle doll's in the therapist's office.
Oh my god. That's great.
So that was pretty funny. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I think it looks a lot of fun. There was a lot more of Philadelphia in it, which is kind of cool because the first time when the first movie, it's set in Philadelphia.
I didn't even know that from the first one. I mean, it's been a while since I saw it.
Well, and until they're flying around at the end, you don't really notice it. Well, you wouldn't like.
Yeah, I just
But having lived in Philadelphia, like when they were doing this whole battle, whatever, I'm like, that's not Philly. And in this one, there's more like nods to it. The whole dragon thing or whatnot is in Citizens Bank Park where the Phillies play. And it's funny because one of the sports blogs I read around here, I was reading it today, had an article that was like, the Phillies ballpark gets absolutely destroyed in this new trailer. So that was kind of cool. So that happened earlier in the day. And then Marvel said, okay, well, good job, and gave them a golf clap. And then Marvel took the stage at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we got the following. A child crying outside my door. No. Here's what we got. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. We got another look at that. The trailer actually looks a lot. I didn't hate the first one, but this one looks really good.
I think the thing about it is this is just going to be really like silly and dumb, and I'm kind of excited for that. Like
It's
this
a comedy.
like brooding bullshit. I don't
Legal
want
comedy.
like this is like an 80s like knockoff goofy thing. I want more of that. So it's going to be fun that's happening.
The big thing is that we are getting Daredevil in it. He shows up at the end of that. So I just love that they went from like canceling his show on Netflix to now he's in every fucking Marvel project.
Netflix dropped the ball they dropped the ball in many ways on all of those shows, but like one of them was like canceling all of them.
And then every Phase 4 wraps up with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever on November 11th. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's interesting that they're stopping with Wakanda Forever.
Oh,
like it's like this is not a team up movie. This is a single solitary movie.
Let me tell you the theories here.
Yeah,
so I can't confirm this, and if someone's listening and wants to tell me differently, there's a rumor that like a screenshot of the reported after credit scene leaked. I don't believe that, but here's the rumor that everyone's working with, which is kind of, I think, makes a lot of sense. But again, I say that all the time, and then get egg on my face. But if you watch the trailer, there's pieces of the trailer where there are army men that are there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
And then there's also the question as to like, why is Namor attacking? Like, what instigates this war? The theory is, and this would kind of make sense given it's the last film of Phase 4, the theory is that someone is behind the scenes manipulating to get these two to go to war so that they can swoop in to steal the vibranium.
I like it.
That person, Doctor Doom. That would
make sense.
Who then becomes one of the big bads moving forward, and with Fantastic Four being introduced. And there's apparently a whole comic storyline that's similar to that.
I
like that.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
I think that's genius.
Well, because the one thing I got like the quick 2 edits from the Black Panther trailer was like it shows Kid Namor in front of like a burning like house or something, and then it immediately flashes to adult Namor coming on the shore starting some shit. And so I saw like that as like, ooh, it's revenge for some sort of like thing, but like, yeah, that could be like a good manipulation technique. I like that.
So we then get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania kicking off Phase 5 in February. This looks a little crazy. We're getting Bill Murray in it as an old acquaintance of Janet's from the Quantum Realm. Janet being Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer's character. And then Kang is the big bad of this movie, so that's where we're really going to dive into that. And what's interesting about this is MODOK is in this as well.
Help me with MODOK.
MODOK, remember the animated series that was on Hulu, the floating head?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. No, he's not in this.
Well, and there's a theory behind this as well, because there's a theory behind everything. But here's the theory: Corey Stoll, who played I want to say the Bumblebee, whatever he was in the first movie. The rumor, and you remember he like combusts or whatever, and probably into the quantum realm. The rumor is that he's MODOK. I would love it.
I can't imagine MODOK in the Marvel universe. I really can't. It's too strange for me. It's just too odd.
Secret Invasion launches in spring 2023, and they were describing that as a political thriller, which I think is really cool. I don't really know much. There's really not much more about that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 hits May 5th, 2023. They all got very emotional talking about this movie as like the end of their 3-film arc. Oh my God, Chukwudi Iwuji, is that how we pronounce his name, from Peacemaker? He's playing. He's playing the High Revolutionary, so he's the big bad of this movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And they also are talking about. They're focusing on Rocket when Rocket was a kid too, and apparently.
There was footage of like Baby Rocket. I heard that people lost their mind over.
Well, because people were like, if you kill off Rocket, Echo is coming next summer. We already knew about that one. Loki season 2 is filming right now. Blade is confirmed for November 3rd, 2023, which I'm super pumped for.
So excited.
Ironheart is going to drop on Disney Plus in the fall of 2023 after she's introduced in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, played by Riri Williams. Agatha, House of Harkness got renamed to Agatha Coven of Chaos. And there's all these rumors out there that it's something going. Apparently there's a casting out there for a like 17 to 20-year-old male to play a gay male character as a lead, and that would be one of Wanda's kids, Wiccan, I think, Billy maybe. So there's, and that would probably be leading up to Young Avengers down the road at some point. Daredevil Born Again, a Daredevil series, got announced with 18 episodes, with Vincent D'Onofrio returning opposite Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock. So that's exciting for people that like Daredevil. And
very cheeky title right there, because it's just like, oh, we want the gritty Daredevil again. No, this is Daredevil Born Again. Charlie Cox is going to go to the park and have a lollipop. Like, you want a Daredevil? You got him.
One of the titles that was leaked the day prior due to trademark filings in the European Union got confirmed. Captain America: New World Order, starring Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. Thunderbolts also was leaked the day prior. That is confirmed. And we don't know necessarily who's going to be in it, but there's a lot of people out there that could be. So, of course, because Kevin Feige said, I see all you people shitting on me online, and I'm going to make sure that you eat your words and rue the day you ever invited me back to the stage. He said, let's talk Phase 6. And Phase 6 is going to kick off November 8th, 2024 with The Fantastic Four.
So, sorry, Phase 5 ends with Thunderbolts then?
Correct.
That's an interesting one. I like that. That's a cool, because that's still a team up kind of deal, so that could work.
And I saw this clip or this pull quote earlier. Essentially, Feige was asked about like not ending each with an Avengers or something, and he said that the movies have grown so big to where a lot of them are team up movies already that it doesn't make sense to build up to that. So that's kind of fascinating. But yeah, we are getting Fantastic Four officially November 8th, 2024, which seems like a while away, but it's going to be here before you know it.
Oh, yeah.
As my grandmother used to say. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty hits May 2nd, 2025, followed closely by Avengers: Secret Wars on November 7th. So what's interesting about this is based on, he had said it wraps up with these two Avengers movies. There's obviously space between Fantastic Four and the Avengers movies for the series and whatever else is coming. But what's fascinating about that is that they... it's 1 year essentially that Phase 6 will be.
Well, I found it interesting because there was a lot of criticism drawn from the two Avengers movies being so close together, and I did think about like how it worked with Infinity War and Endgame. And yes, true, it was a year away, But what was in between? There was just like, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I honestly, I'm sure there was something else, but there was not a lot of procession in the story going on, mainly because they couldn't, because half the characters were dead. And so they had to there wasn't a lot you could do except go back into the past or have a quick moment in between those two for that type of movie. So this isn't terrible love lost. Sure, it builds a year's worth of anticipation, but I think that, I don't know if you're going to get something between Infinity War and Endgame again. That magic isn't going to happen again. So I think it's just going to be interesting. They're going to be two, I'm assuming solid movies.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
A lot of feedback that there's a few things that people were wanting that weren't announced. I didn't even mention that in the DC panel, Henry Cavill was nowhere to be seen. And at one point, The Rock was asked about fighting Superman, and he made a comment about it depends who's playing him, which pissed off a lot of people. And DC still hasn't said anything about it, so they're really good at this game. But anyway, there was conversations around why we didn't get any confirmation of an X-Men series coming, aside from the animated X-Men 97 that's coming down the road. Or why there wasn't a Wanda individual movie. There's still announcements to come. Remember that. We're probably going to get a lot of casting at D23.
D23 will be a big one, yeah.
Probably some other titles, and that's in September. But there's a report out there today that 20th Century Fox contracts with the original X-Men franchise actors are in effect until 2025. And since Disney and Marvel, or Disney in particular, has consumed Fox, that they can't recast or announce anything or enter production in anything unless they're using the original characters until 2025. So who knows if that's true? I'm sure there's something going on behind the scenes there, but part of it may just be that they're not ready to dive headfirst into that yet.
I mean, I will say if this report turns out to be true, all I know is that, I don't know much about contracts or legal shit. That's why we have you here, Joe. But I do know that Disney finds a way, and they will pay who they need to. They will sue who they need to. They will topple whatever, empire they need to in order to get what they would desire, which
it would surprise me that the contractual obligations ran through 2025 when we haven't seen Hugh Jackman as Logan since when?
Logan.
And maybe we're not even talking about that. Maybe we're talking more about the younger X-Men ones that were out, which clearly I loved because I can't even remember any of them. But what out of this list, Sean, was there anything that really piqued your interest?
Well, I can't be a loser and say Wakanda Forever because we've seen the trailer for that. I think that, we're going to talk about it in a moment, but I am very excited for what the Kang Dynasty is going to give us. And that'll kind of segue into the next story.
Yeah.
And it's because of that I'm excited for that one. Also because Kang. And so, pretty much anything that's going to involve Kang after what he did in Loki, I'm very excited for. Because that performance was spectacular from Jonathan Majors.
Yeah. So let's talk about that story, and that is that Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton is going to direct Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. He had also been confirmed, I thought, for a sequel to Shang-Chi at some point. And then he also, I believe, is behind the Wonder Man series that's coming down the road on Disney Plus. But I don't know if they were ever confirmed or if they were just rumors. But yeah, I'm with you. That's exciting to have him helm that. I think it's cool that they're kind of using some of their other films as incubators for the bigger ones.
Yeah.
And Shang-Chi obviously was a good film.
Well, they did this with the Russo brothers where they just sort of tested them. I mean, I don't know if it was a testing of it, but they put them in Captain America, Winter Soldier. And then by the time that happened, they got, I think, the two, the next Avengers, the two Infinity War and Endgame gig. And then they also had him in for Civil War. I don't know how that was hired, but this is great. I mean, I didn't realize. I looked up on this guy's, filmography. He did Short Term 12, which is an amazing indie film, which means, of course, they go to make a Marvel movie. Just Mercy, which is a pretty solid legal. He
drama. Did Just Mercy.
Just Mercy. Maybe
wow.
Prove me wrong on that because I did just see that somewhere, but this guy kind of knows how to make a damn fine film, and Shang-Chi has just gotten better with time. And that's the one thing that's like, I think I judge it too harshly for it's like, third act CGI battle sequence, but we're talking about a Marvel movie. So there was a third act CGI battle sequence. What the hell? Why am I judging that? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because it was great. It was fun. And that's what this guy can do. One thing I find interesting, was he announced at Comic-Con or was he announced like today?
Today. It was an exclusive report from Hollywood Reporter, I believe.
Should we read into the fact that he wasn't announced at Comic-Con or maybe not? I don't know. Like, it just seems weird that like this wasn't like decided to be like, hey, here's all our movies. And then, after Comic-Con ends, we'll announce this. Maybe it's just, that's when the paperwork came through. Who knows? Like, I don't want to like, besmirch this before like, even have to. But,
or it may have been scooped that Hollywood Reporter was like, got on and got it confirmed because they do say they can exclusively reveal.
Okay. Yeah.
So who knows? One of the other interesting stories that came out though. Well, let me answer that question about what I'm most excited about. I don't know.
This is big. This now I know what you talked about with the Wakanda Forever trailer comment. Yeah.
I really don't know. I'm like really kind of surprised about the number of announcements that we got, but I'm excited. I really want to know who they're going to cast for Fantastic Four. I think there's a lot of stuff out, a lot of rumors out there that are fun. But I just want to see where they're going with that. And I'm really excited for Wakanda Forever. I can't deny that. I love the trailer. I thought it was fantastic. One of the stories that broke today that was kind of interesting, and this is not confirmed yet, but it was written by a anonymous VFX artist in Hollywood who basically went on to say that you work really hard when you're doing VFX for Marvel, and that it's almost 6 months of overtime every day. Working 7 days a week, averaging 64 hours a week on a good week. The people are breaking down, crying, having anxiety attacks. And it's basically because if they don't deliver and because of how crazy the expectations are with Marvel, that if you don't deliver, you're not getting hired again. And that they just move on to the next. Apparently the bids are kind of crazy where like everyone's trying to undercut the next person in terms of a cost. Which, of course, Marvel wants to save costs as much as they can since they have 70,000 projects in the works. But essentially, this one individual said, and this is again from a Vulture article, quote, where I would usually have a team of 10 VFX artists on a non-Marvel movie, on one Marvel movie, I got 2, including myself. So every person is doing way more work than they need to. And that there's a lot of changes that Marvel asked for throughout the process. Maybe a month or two before a movie comes out, Marvel will have us change the entire third act. It seems like it's really tough on VFX artists, and that's something that had come out before. So I think this is a story that's going to start. Probably, I'm sure there'll be some other people that come out of the woodwork talking about this, but it makes sense. I mean, you think about the work that goes into producing these fantasy films. And the VFX heavy shots, and we've gotten some or films, I should say, and TV projects. We've gotten some. I just thought of something I want to comment on in a second, but we've gotten some VFX shots in movies and TV that weren't the best. And I wonder if that's part of what we're getting from this, right? Like there's just so much going on. I remember back when I got the screeners for. Moon Knight, the fourth screener, the fourth episode, they gave us 4 episodes at once. You remember that Moon Knight, the 4th episode was the one that kind of changed everything.
Yeah.
The VFX weren't done. And that was a week before at least the first episode was coming out. And I don't remember if they released the first 2 or just the first one. But they weren't done. And at best, they were 4 weeks out from having to release that. So it's just kind of, it's interesting because I saw it, I saw that there was an unfinished product there. I think there was a beetle that was walking and it was like computer animated, but wasn't colored or anything like that.
Hippo head here.
Yeah, like essentially. But I can't say that this is a surprise to me. But I just wonder what we're going to hear moving forward.
It's what's really fascinating to me is just on the rant that I went on before about like the contracts and stuff like that. This is Marvel. This is Disney. They have the money, I think. I don't know how businesses work, but I think they can hire 10 visual effects artists. And I think if you care about your product, you would hire. the fact that like two people are on a job in any movie or TV show for like Marvel, which is, like it lives and dies by the effects, is baffling to me. I can't imagine like doing that. Not even like them being overworked and that being like almost pretty much against human rights. Like this is like that just seems silly. Of course they're not going to like be able to like pull off a good job.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like they just care about, well, this is the whole thing about the quality over quantity and quantity over quality. And what are they really caring about? Are they just caring about this timeline, or are they caring about like, actually like giving us a good product? And I want to believe it's good product. I want to believe they care about that kind of thing, but sometimes it makes it seem like they just want to beat a deadline. And that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess especially now that there's so much intertwined. When you have the TV shows, you have the movies. You need to make sure that everything's kind of building together. It's got to be tough. Not defending them, but it's just crazy.
It's a little bit weird, like, and then also just, I start to stand against the criticisms of special effects. I mean, yeah, sometimes they can be definitely bad, but like people are like criticizing Miss Marvel for the effects. And I'm like, she's shooting pink crystals out of her hands.
Right.
It's not going to look real. There's no way that looks real. It's an animation. So I don't know what you want from it in that kind of situation.
I feel like people will come out of the woodwork with that shit, like when they don't like a series and they don't want to say they don't like it for the obvious reasons that may get criticized. So they're like, "Oh, it's the writing, it's the graphics." Blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, it's the highest rated Marvel project. All right, let's jump out of Marvel world, DC world for just a moment here. Because we got confirmation that Wes Anderson's next film is officially going to Focus Features, and they'll handle the distribution here in the U.S. The movie is called Asteroid City, and it is we don't know much about it, but the brief synopsis is... It tells the story of a fictional American desert town circa 1955 and its Junior Stargazer Convention, which brings together students and parents from across the country for scholarly competition, rest and recreation, comedy, drama, romance, and more. It was via comingsoon.net. They described the film as a poetic meditation on the meaning of life. And here is the star.
God damn it.
Here's the cast: Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson playing a young black male, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Ed Norton, Adrian Brody, Liev Schreiber, Hope Davis, Stephen Park, Rupert Friend, Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, Hong Chow, Willem Dafoe, Margot Robbie, Tony Revolori, Jake Ryan, Grace Edwards, Aristotle Meehan, Sophia Lillis, Ethan Lee, Jeff Goldblum, Rita Wilson, and many more.
I will now say, I think 20 Focus Features has just released that half of those actors are under contract until 2025 to just star in nothing but Wes Anderson movies, because that is all I've heard. Like half of those people are just like, "Yep, Wes Anderson. Yep, Wes Anderson."
Makes sense. I gotta say, like, I'm not the biggest fan of his. I've never have been. So, I mean, this sounds interesting, but I immediately, when I hear about like a 1955, like, coming of age type thing or whatever, I this wasn't set in the 50s, but I thought of Licorice Pizza right away.
Oh boy.
On me, but here we are.
I sort of agree with you on Wes Anderson. He's soured on me recently because he's done his like cutesy wootsy like weird bullshit thing where like he used to like churn out stuff like Royal Tenenbaums and and Rushmore, which were cutesy wootsy like weird like symmetrical. He did his weird symmetrical bullshit, but there was like I don't know, they were grounded in like at least the slightest form of reality instead of like they're in like side of Christmas miniatures. I will say though, The French Dispatch, I remember this was the most stunning thing for me in the entire year of like movies last year. Like floored me. I loved The French Dispatch.
Really?
I couldn't believe. I walked into that movie ready to just roast it. I had like a bottle of red wine with me. I was ready to just like start like pouring the glasses and be like, but wow, did I love it. And I couldn't get over the fact. So I mean, at this point, I'm welcome to this. I I can sometimes like accept his like dumb Wes Andersonisms, but when you said poetic meditation on the meaning of life, that made it really hard to swallow this one.
Yeah, I don't know. This isn't going on my most anticipated list, but here we are.
No, and then everyone gets all excited about the the gigantic cast and everything like that. I mean, in French Dispatch, which I liked, Saoirse Ronan has 2 lines and is in it for like 15 seconds. And so, like, you can get excited about that if you want, but you know where this is going. And that's a movie that has 3 separate stories, so they had room for a gigantic cast.
Yeah,
like this one is just one story, so you're gonna see Tom Hanks is gonna be on a porch and he's gonna whittle a harmonica and blow into it, and then that's it.
I could see a lot of it focusing on like the different families that are bringing their kids to this convention or whatever. Like that would be probably a cool way to do that. But
I could see that. Yeah, that's probably where they capture everyone.
Complete side note, but I was just checking to make sure we didn't get any last minute breaking news, and someone just tweeted about the TV movie category at the Oscars or at the Emmys, and said this is officially the most unhinged category at the Emmys.
I feel seen. Was it Will Mavity?
No.
Oh, okay, because he often rails against the TV Emmys category, which is where I base most of my article on.
It's just so funny. Oh my god! All right, let's dive into raves and rants here to wrap up the evening. I have a very simple one, and it's going to be very quick. I've ranted about this before. DC just frustrates the shit out of me because all they did at Comic-Con was show us what we already knew was coming, and didn't really do anything to assure us of the future direction. And I think this was an opportunity for them to do that, to own the convention floor for that hour that they had it. And instead they spent about 30 minutes on each movie. And if you watch the Marvel panel, they methodically moved through about 97 projects satisfyingly. So I think that's really frustrating. But one of the other things that frustrates me is the way they handled this Henry Cavill rumor. Because they still to this day have not responded to it. And it's not like it just came out of nowhere on the internet. It was something that was reported by Deadline, a very reputable entertainment source, as receiving buzz, and that there was buzz around his appearance to tease future Superman projects. So the fact that they didn't put it to bed when that was first released a day or two prior to the panel is frustrating if it wasn't going to happen, because all they did was allow false expectations to balloon, and then there's disappointment after it. And then to this day, still, there's no understanding of where things are going. They could have talked about, the fact that maybe he will be back. Maybe they're looking at something different. Maybe there's news to come on him or something like that. Tease it in some way, get people excited. Similarly, there's a lot of shit about the Flash movie, and it seems like all they're doing is just kind of like shoving their head under the pillow and hoping that it goes away. But they're not addressing anything with Ezra Miller. Now, to be fair, I don't know what they could address at this point. They need to publicly say something at some point. I don't know if Comic-Con was the place to do that, but people are still going into this movie thinking like, what the hell? What you have this very problematic actor who has been accused of a lot of things, but if you're to believe some of the people commenting on my TikTok post about it last week, it's it's all fake. He's been cleared.
Yikes.
I was like, that's news to me. I think they missed an opportunity to really get excitement going for their future projects. Instead, they gave us a look at what's coming for the rest of this year, which was 2 films. They didn't even give us any look at, granted, I think it was billed as a theatrical hour, but they didn't even give us a look at like anything coming on HBO Max. And we know that there are a series around the Batman coming. So they're just, once again, I'm just baffled by what's going on there, what the future holds, and wondering why they're not even trying to play nice with the public and give us any semblance of reassurance.
And not to like blow smoke under Feige's ass, because he's made his share of mistakes or anything like that. But there's someone like the Marvel universe or the Marvel company has a Feige, and he he has a plan, and it didn't seem like he did. We all were criticizing Phase 4, which I think is going to like walk away as being kind of a little bit of a like messy like thing, and I think they're sort of rehashing it here. But there's still like this plan in place the whole way through, and it doesn't necessarily mean everything has to connect. And it sometimes it means like like with DC, just have these movies ready, have them ready to go, but don't. I don't know. It just seems like it just seems like they don't really have this plan in place, which doesn't like I said. Can't stress enough, doesn't have to connect all the movies, but just have a plan out. Like you said, they have an hour and they didn't really, use it.
They didn't use it. And they knew that the attention was going to be on them. And someone made this comment saying that maybe they're saving it for like DC Fandom because they want to do their own thing. But the last DC Fandom had like one announcement. The rest of it was just shit. Yeah. So I don't buy into that. I just honestly, I think that they are completely fumbling this IP, and it's extremely frustrating. I want Henry Cavill back specifically? 1,000%.
Yeah.
But more than that, I guess I want to just know what's going on with the entire property, like not just Superman, but what's going on with your DC films? What's going on with this universe that you were trying to build? Just give us something. Give us a roadmap of some sort, because the people that enjoy it are frustrated and have been frustrated for years now. And with this new ownership that came in a few months ago, I was hoping that they would get on this quickly, because the longer it festers in the public, the harder it's going to be for them to rebound. And their actors aren't helping them out when you're looking at Ezra Miller and Amber Heard. So who knows? It's so frustrating.
So I erased my rant because I didn't really feel like talking about that. I feel like, we already like covered that with Peele and everything. It was going to be about the canonization of directors. And really, that's not something that bothers me right now, because, Peele is not getting shit with Nope, but it's not getting like the praise almighty praise. And I kind of love that. So I'm not going to really get into like that. Maybe I'll talk about that later on. But instead, today I listened to a podcast episode of The Big Picture. First of all, definitely listen to The Big Picture after you listen to us. It's a great movie podcast. It's wonderful. It's insightful. It's got Sean Fennessy, Amanda Dobbins, and Chris Ryan from The Ringer. And they do these movie drafts where they pick a year, and then they pick like a comedy, a drama, an action movie, an Oscar nominee movie. Like, they pick one for each, and then they go like in a draft order to fill those. They did 1987, and they have the special guest stars of Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery. And I mean, Quentin Tarantino, he doesn't shut up. He's obnoxious and he's kind of an ass. But like listening to that guy like go deep into movies and stuff like that is like with the crazy energy he has is a blast. And bouncing off the energy of the typical host works really well. And Roger Avery's like a lot more calm. He's like Tarantino's got the director energy and Avery's got the producer cool. And like the two of them sort of like bounce off each other like kind of wonderfully. And it's also a 2.5 hour episode, which I laughed at because when I saw like, Tarantino's on it, then I saw it was 2.5 hours. I was like, Tarantino's making up most of that, and he does. But it's like they go through like all these different like great movies from 1987, and it's interesting to like get their insight, and it was just a lot of fun. I enjoy the podcast anyway, but this one was especially nutty.
Very nice, very nice. There's so many good podcasts out there.
So many.
All right. A lot of releases this week. DC League of Super Pets hits theaters. Vengeance hits theaters. Not Okay hits Hulu. Purple Hearts hits Netflix. And 13 Lives hits limited theaters. That's an interesting one that I'm not hearing great things about. After originally it was like, it had the best test screenings ever.
Well, standing ovations and shit like that are such bullshit. Like, I cannot say, like, the fact that those are making news, like, it got an 18-minute standing ovation. I'm like, first of all, that's stupid on its own accord. And that just doesn't mean anything because the people there are, like, of course, like, I'm going to clap at a movie if, like, Ron Howard is next to me. I'll be like, yeah, it was good, buddy. Way to go, Hillbillyology.
There's a commercial for insurance or something where people are clapping at the end of the movie, and the guy turns and goes, none of the people that made the movie are here. It's great. But yeah, that's a lot. Basically what I'm hearing is that it just seems unnecessary after such a great documentary with The Rescue. So that should be interesting. But what did you say you're watching this weekend?
It'll probably be like Thursday is going to be my big day. So it's either going to be Vengeance or League of Super Pets. I'll decide like which time works out better. That's how I usually do it.
Yeah.
But because both of them do fascinate me. I'm interested in both. It's just that my next 2 weekends are packed. So there's like no way to for me to sneak the other one in after, but maybe I can pull it off.
Well, you got married, so don't blame anyone else. Anyway,
I got married to someone that like decided to have like 1,000 friends, and they're all getting married as well. So there we go.
No new friends 2022. That's
Nope.
the way to go. Sean, I'll talk to you soon.
Their pleasure.
That is the end of our podcast. Bye.
It is.
The Guy at the Movies podcast is a joint venture between Math Teacher Movies and Guy at the Movies. You can catch new episodes weekly right here wherever you're listening to this one. Subscribe so you never miss a beat.